We came back here because we missed a certain points, so we started again.
Amen.
So we're saying that we are talking now about the Hiratator, because we said that there are two levels of makif, kloli. One is called Hiratator, the lower Tehiro, purity, and one is called Tehiro Ilah, the higher purity. The reason it's called Tehiro, we already, I think, discussed, because this is representative of the Ein Sof. But in representing the Ein Sof itself, there are these two levels. Before the Tzimtzum and after the Tzimtzum. Both of these are in a makif level relative to world. Again, the makif principle is that these inyanim, these oir, represent the source, the etzem, rather than the content that is deriving from them. That's why it's called makif. And the significance of this word is not just it surrounds, but makif, that this is a level that provides for all the worlds a significance to their existence. This is the makif element. So within this makif, within this so the lower level is called machshava hakduma diyak. And we discussed already how machshava is also an element of makif. Even though machshava is almost akin to dibur, but there's a fundamental difference between them. Dibur is completely pnimi, in other words, every word is identified independently. Whereas machshava has a general context. It has it relates to the source of this machshava. And this is what's called makif. So in this makif, all the worlds are in total unity and beetle bimtzius because of this oyer makif. Beetle bimtzius, we started talking about it. In essence, Beetle b'mitzius means not that they are insignificant, but that their very presence and existence is totally lost in the face of this energy. I was talking the other day to Moshe, and in a very quick way I gave him this following moshel, but I want to repeat this moshel and present it not in a very quick way. We should understand this is a very significant means of understanding this principle.
What, sir? Which principle?
I'll give you the principle of beetle bimtzius. Beetle bimtzius means not beetle because it's very small, it's very low, it's insignificant. Total non-existence. From the perspective of this higher, of AYIN Sof. So I gave a very simple mashal within our orientation, the worldly orientation. So let us say you're going to a shir. You're going to this holy place to learn the shir. Where are you going? I'm going to a shir. That is a principle that motivates you going. Where is the shir? The shir is in this place. How do you get there? Here's the way that you get there. So when you say, I'm going to the shir, and then you're going to take all the different turns on the street, and finally go into the house, compare the significance of making these two turns on the street, and going into the house even, or attending the shir. Or going to the shir. How do you do these activities of getting there in the physical world compare to the principle of going to a shir or attending a shir? The thought of attending a shir is in a totally different realm of getting to, or being in a place, in a physical place. The shir is totally independent, totally in a different realm of being in this place. This place is, by the way, is inadvertent. So all the things that go into the physical things of going into providing for attending the shir, of being there, are both mitzias, non-entities. You cannot say, I went to the shir, I went on Crown Street, I went on this street. This is, it's totally, it don't exist. So this is kind of an expose of the concept of bitul b'mitzius. You talk about AYIN Sof.
What's the meaning they don't exist?
What?
What is the meaning they don't
Okay,
exist?
here's the mashal. What is the meaning that this address doesn't exist? The address, you're sitting here and learning. You're attending a shir. You're 9 days no less.
So the details are a prerequisite, yet they don't.
Well, there is not a way to present it, to identify it in words, because the bitul mitzius is not a word-oriented element. This is a seichel element. In seichel itself, it is of a higher caliber of seichel. There is no significance at all in my mind and your mind as you're going to the shir that you're going on Crown Street.
Because the main part is the shir. I mean,
Not the main part. The whole thing is shir. The shir is in a different caliber, a different level than being in this physical place.
But in this world, there's almost no such thing as a shir without time and place. Or you could say there is no such thing. Essentially there is.
Not true.
If you want attendees, there has to be a time and a place.
Not true. Not true. This is why I'm saying, let's put our seichel in place. You attended the shir. You learned 2 lines in this Bible. And you walk away. Does the fact that the shir that took place on Crown Street in the basement, does that at all conjure up any kind of memory, any kind of significance to that experience. What did you learn today? Oh, today I learned on ground seat in the relative basement, and I sat on this place.
Well, my point was just that,
Matter of relevance.
although essentially it's not, it doesn't contribute anything in this world. every event needs a time and place, otherwise it's not an event.
The fact that it needs a time and place does not the time and place in terms of what is happening is bottled bimti as if it doesn't exist.
Okay.
It is
Right.
This is the bottled bimti. This is very common. You see this, and I'm just giving an idea how to understand these words. Bottled bimti. It's a bimti. It's a presence, but it's bottled bimti. Its bimti is null to the extent as if it doesn't exist. The fact that we are scientists, so it has to be in the place. It has to be in place, not because the sheet has to be in a place, because you cannot have it, but in a place. But the sheet itself is an neshama thing. And subsequent to the shear, what you walk away with is the shear. The sheet existed in no place. It exists in my neshama, in my seichel.
What's up?
There is an audio version of the Shira.
It's no place.
No time, no place.
Oh, come
So
on,
these
you know,
are-
that's losing the whole
Just
idea.
So this is an Indian. This is a means to understand the words which are used of this a lot. And it is it's a good expose of this concept. Bottle b'mtzius, relative to Ein Sof, it is bottle b'mtzius. And again, as we started yesterday, Ein Sof does not mean Ein Sof in a measurable way. I'm measuring it and it has no end. It's a different caliber. It's an oil that is inherently, has no identification, does not have identifiable qualities. This is why you refer it as Ein Sof. Because there's no means of identifying it. That, relative to that world, a bottle b'mtzius. So we gave this mashal. And everyone can. And see within his own experience, his own seichel, that there are things in his seichel, in his mind, that are such superior caliber that the means by which he gets to know it, but means that he get to is a non-entity. Bottom tears. Because the ruach, the neshama aspect of it, is so real that all the content and the containers that are never enabled to be known in the world are completely ignored. This is Pshat it's bottle b'mtzius. The world is bottle b'mtzius to the Ein Sof. The Ein Sof is what encompasses it and gives it a presence, a real presence, that is not of a worldly caliber. And the worldly caliber of existence is bottled b'mtzius, as if it doesn't exist. Okay, on the third line on page Kuf Nun Dalet, Rak accept shehabitul hazeh, that this beetle that says the worlds are bottled b'mtzius, shemach masiyah kemadiach, that is the result of the fact that everything in the world is contained within the Tzir Koim of Adam Kadmon. It's part of this huge structure of Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon represents the oil soif that contains all of these things. So this beetle, who behelem oid, is very much behelem. Namely, what does it mean, behelem? Sheine murgosh b'nivroim klal habitul hazeh. That in nivroim, this beetle is not at all felt, sensed that they are bottled to Eresoif. In their own orientation, in their own sense, they are entities, whatever caliber they're entities, of them, they are created entities, worldly entities. They don't feel this beetle. Although in real truth, that which enables their being and gives them chayas is of such a high caliber that they are, relative to that, they don't exist. The bottom is. So there are creatures. There is a creation. And after the creation exists as a creation, the oil in soif is still that which gives it a presence. So therefore, from the perspective of the source of their support, of their presence, of their oil, they have no presence at all. Because the oil in soif is of such high significance that they are lost completely in their existence. This is I gave the motion before. You have a shear, and the shear exists begashmius in a place. Shemayirism, please listen to this. It exists begashmius in a certain place. It cannot exist otherwise in the world. But that is the oil, the highest, and the experience of the shear nullifies the existence of the place totally, as if it happened in no place. This is an important inyan for us to get to realize. And what's so important about it? The important about it is very, very significant. Listen to this. This is the means by which we know God while we are walking around and eating our sandwiches. Where is God coming? I'm eating my sandwich. I'm making a bracha. Wait, the sandwich, I just bought it in the store. I made the sandwich myself. The answer is, you made the sandwich and you bought it. What is giving the sandwich a presence? What is giving the sandwich a taste? An enticing presence and health source. All of that. This is the elokus that is in this sandwich. This is not a worldly thing. This is a godly. And relative, and from a godly perspective, this is a non-entity. And a person says, I ate a sandwich that weighed X number of ounces, and it felt this way, and it felt that way, and it had this taste and this taste. He's missing the whole point. That's not what he ate. And this is what the Rebbe is saying. The third line again. The beetle that is effectuate in the creation, in all the worlds, that is affected due to the fact that Tzir Kema Diak, because it's all contained in Odom Kadmon, in this Machshava Hagduma, Ubehela Me'oid, is in a very deep concealment. She'ein Murgesh ben Yivroim Klal HaBitl Hazeh, that in Yivroim this beetle is totally not sensed. The Nivroim senses their mitzias as a mitzias. They do not sense that their mitzias is due to the fact that there is Odom Kadmon that has them in mind. And as we discussed yesterday, in the last couple of days, the fact is that Nivroim have a presence that is way beyond their own identification. I said many times, take a dober gashmi, take a piece of wood. Piece of wood is a limited physical entity. Try to make it non-existent. Can't. I always said that the people who go to university, as a professor, if you say that the world is a result of evolution, how come you cannot take a piece of material and devolve it to nothingness? The answer is because it's a divine creation. It's an infinite presence, as small as it is. Now, on the fourth line in the middle. This now we come into a real significant and very sensitive aspect. As is written elsewhere, in discussing and identifying the principle of idea versus bechira. Idea means knowledge, pre-knowledge. Bechira means in choice. And namely, what that is referring to is the following. Sheha-idea ho-elyoino. That the idea, the knowledge, the pre-knowledge, as it is above. She-mi-bechinas odom kadmon. The idea, the superior idea that is the pre-knowledge that originates in Odom Kadmon. In Odom Kadmon, there is a knowledge of all things that will transpire in the world, in the worlds. This is a supreme idea. So you would think that since it is pre-known, therefore, that which occurs afterwards in world is not a novel occurrence. It's already pre-known. And it is not an occurrence that can be identified, so to speak, from a worldly perspective. No, it is something which came from a higher level. And yet we say no. This idea does not in any which way affect or compel the bechira, the choice that is exercised during the act itself. This is a very important principle, extremely sensitive, extremely difficult to understand, but to understand it is impossible because it is a divine element. But nonetheless, to relate to it is definitely possible and necessary. So, namely, the following is what we say by the Hagam, that although that he knows all activities of men, and his conduct of and his actions. Before that the human being does it. It's all pre-known. But yet still, the person is not compelled due to this knowledge in his actions. Thus he, the human being, when he acts, he is doing it by his choice. Drawing upon his own ability. This is a question that's discussed way back when, as I mentioned the other day. The Rambam discusses it quite extensively. And the Rambam says that this seems to be a very strong question. The Rambam goes back and forth. Are you going to say that the Rebbe knew what the person is going to do, or he didn't? If he knew, so then the person doesn't have a choice to do what he knew. If you say that the person still has a choice not to follow through on what the Rebbe knew, then that means that his knowledge is not conclusive. It's not real knowledge. On the other hand, if you say that he knew, and the person, and it is bound to happen the way he knew it, so then there is no choice. How do you say that person does it by his own choice? And what is the Rambam's conclusion after going back and forth a little bit? It says, well, you should know that this is a principle that is very beyond our understanding. The Rambam says. And in order to expose it, he says, you need many introductory principles. But in normal human thought, this is impossible to be explained. However, it is important and imperative to believe and to live with that belief on a moment-to-moment basis, that the Creator knows exactly what is happening, what is going to happen the next second with you, while at the same time you carry full responsibility for your actions. And your actions are based on your own choice. It's imperative to understand it and to live with this principle. And the Rebbe says, how is this? How do we, human beings, so to speak, correlate these two things together? Not to understand, but how do we correlate? The Rebbe says. Okay, we are on the line that begins with what atzmoy. Bezehu. This we try to explain, and this is what we you have to try and understand the principle. Bezehu. This truth is due to the fact, lefi, because shehayidio muvdelas be'erech legamri, that the knowledge is remote, is separate, be'erech, in proximity legamri, totally. It's in a totally different realm. This knowledge is in a totally different realm than the occurrence, than the worldly occurrence. She'eino murgeshes klal behod, which means that in the human being, this knowledge this knowledge is of a such high caliber, is so refined and so ruchnis that the human being, is totally not capable of sensing it. Al-Kain, and therefore, Al-Kain, because of this knowledge, is in a different realm, a different a caliber completely. Therefore, Eino Machrachas es Abchira. This is why this knowledge does not compel the choice, does not have any effect on the choice. The choice that the person does is a choice that he does with his own decision. It's totally unaffected by anything else. It is his choice. He creates his choice. Although the Rebbe knew ahead of time what he's going to choose. If he knew, so how is it a free choice? The answer is that the Rebbe's knowledge was from a higher perch, from a higher level than that which is experienced in the choice.
That the person is not margish of Irish knowledge.
That's right. The person is not magish at all, because if he would be magish, then it cannot be attributed to his choice. It's not called choice. Bechira means, the word Bechira Chassidus speaks about a lot. Bechira means a choice without any prior directive, cause. The human being has what's called free choice. Free choice means without any effect from any higher source. Like we say, Yom Kippur, Kol Nidri. Like material, the clay in the hand of the one who forms it. He can form it in any which way. There is nothing compelling him to make it one way or another. This is really a phenomenal principle. Again, this principle is both. It's a compelling principle. It is a principle in our emunah to know that the Rebbe knows precisely, moment to moment, what each one of us chooses to do. At the same time, we refer to it as chooses to do, which means that the choice is due to his current momentary decision.